What's the haps? I'm Meroka, and so I'm going to take a quick look at, well, you heard, Rocking Pilot. Or Rocking Pilot, I suppose is what it is. It's by Gungrounds. It is a twin-stick shooter. It is a bunch of little mini arena kind of fights with all sorts of different objectives going on. It's not the most innovative twin-stick shooter you'll ever come across in your life, but it is an entertaining little diversion. We're going to take a look at it today. First things first, main menu does not have an options menu. It's actually in the game. You've got to get into the game to actually get to the options menu. And this is kind of badly laid out because this is like a vertical series of events. You have to click down to get to credits, then down to get to quit, and then down to get to language, which is over there on the right. I guess if you're using a mouse, that's fine, but it's a twin-stick shooter. I'm going to be using twin sticks. I have a gamepad in my hands. It's weird to navigate with a gamepad. Just saying. That goes on throughout the rest of this. You have to like press down to get to this bottom menu, which is customized. It seems to be a kind of a customized thing. I've not actually unlocked any customization. Before the game launched, during the preview build that I was sent, it appeared to unlock customization, but I didn't have any option to actually change it, so I don't even know. So this is mostly just to have a look at your upgrade screen for the moment until I actually do well at the game. And over here on the right is your menu. This is what we're looking for. This is where we want it to be. Visuals. Your graphics are reasonably limited. We have resolution is full screen or windowed, and the window is set to whatever your full screen resolution is, which is utterly unhelpful. It does constrain your mouse to the window, which is something I frequently lament, especially in this kind of game where you probably want to keep your mouse in the window. But at the same time, that also means that you can't actually take the mouse outside of the window to resize it. I tried like alt-tabbing and you still can't resize it. No, your windowed resolution is just going to be your full screen resolution and nothing else. So, not terribly helpful in that regard. VSync on or off, and some scan lines, which are mostly going to be your aesthetic tastes. Default is set to 20, so there we shall leave it. Audio, music and sound effects on separate sliders, good. Maybe, like, the voice could be on a separate one, but that's no big, really. You don't actually hear from him all that much. Controls, not rebindable. It's a twin-stick shooter. There's not too many controls to actually rebind, if we're honest, so not the end of the world. What we do want to see in a controls menu in anything that is reliant on the sticks is some kind of dead zone calibration, and it does not have that. I have found on a few occasions my player just kind of, it feels like drifting kind of its own accord across the screen sometimes. It's like, hang on, I'm not telling it to go that way. What's going on here? You know what would solve that? Some dead zone calibration. Don't have that. That kind of sucks. And beyond that, it's just credits and stats. We can see how many times I died. Playtime 1.5 hours, not accurate. That's since they reset the data when the game launched. Up until that point, I'd played a couple hours already, so I've been at this for a few hours. So let's go back into things. So we have a selection of missions. We have, you can see kind of a progress track along the bottom. We've got basically 4 worlds. Each world actually, you know, the core story content ain't all that much. You get, like, for example, in World 2 here, you get one mission, which is mostly just the tutorial explaining the new mechanic which has been introduced in that world. And you got 1, 2, 3 missions, and a boss fight. Then when you beat the boss fight, you move on to the next world. But you can see there's more to it. So really, the game kind of wants you to replay it. If you go back and look at World 1, I've been a bit more thorough about it. You got a couple of tutorial things, like, yeah, you got basically learn to move, learn to use your invulnerability powers, and learn to shoot, and then, like 2 missions, and a boss fight, ta-da, and then a few bonus missions. And then you'll see that you've got, basically each level is divided into 3 sections, which are going to be those 3 markers you see at the bottom. You get 1 trophy or a skull or a key. They go into these progress tracks up the top. If you get a key, it fills a key track. If you get a trophy, it fills a trophy track, etc, etc, etc. And those go towards your unlocks and progress, and eventually maybe some cosmetics, I don't know. And yeah, the crowns, they're kind of a different kind of mission. So once you've beaten a level completely and gotten the 3 core components of it, you can then go into score mode and kind of do a score attack thing, which we'll get to later, because that's it's an interesting little concept. I happen to have gone out of the mission there, so let's hop on into sort of just a general mission. Let's pick up on. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start from the basics. Let's go to Tank Shooting Day mission mode.
Mission start.
So, to get to the first component, we need to destroy the enemies. Very straightforward. Shoot the tanks, blow them up. We pick up the golden doodads that they drop, they give us score multiplier, and each time that track on the left fills up, that's going to give us one of a bunch of power-ups. You start out with kind of just a laser. I have 3 lives on each level, so I'm not going to lament losing one too much. You will pick up more. Some of them are kind of, in some regards, kind of optional, based on how well you've been doing. If you unlocked a lot of trophies, you'll get more power-ups, but, you know, broadly speaking, you'll get most of the power-ups as part of a progression thing. So I got missiles, we've got a spread shot, we've got a shotgun is something I picked up there as a little more optional later on. We've got mini nuke, kills everything nearby. But you can see I'm not making any progress. My progress is over there on the top right, and I'm not actually making any progress on this level, just on the basis that, well, frankly, I'm not doing what my objective is. Each of the sections of the levels is going to give me a totally different objective. My objective here is to destroy enemies using my propellers. So you can see my propellers whirling around me. Were I audacious enough to get close to some of these enemies, I could deal some damage with them. They're mostly better used against the infantry grunts, honestly, because you can just fly into them with complete impunity and just mow them down in that regard. Indeed, that's what the first tutorial pretty much is. But you can do that to tanks if you're very cautious. Mostly what we're going to do is use my other power, which if I press the left trigger, we get this kind of we had a very brief moment, which I should not have chosen to use at that moment. Let's try it again. We've got this yellow bar on the left-hand side with the lightning bolts. That is our overdrive. Overdrive gives us a brief moment of invulnerability and can be used tactically to kill enemies. If you fly into enemies, you do a ton of damage while you're invulnerable. Or you can use it to deflect bullets. So, oh no, they're shooting at me, but I can deflect them with that. That's no big deal. Again, one of the sort of, I think, more optional upgrades you kind of get later on is that if you kill enemies using your propellers, it recharges your overdrive a little bit faster. You kind of get a sort of vampire effect. So let's actually try doing that. Let's get a few of those. So 5 enemies, 5 kills. That did the job quite nicely. That was no biggie. There we go. It filled the bar up great. Just a few more. And we are good. There we go. End of level. The moment that ticks off, all the enemies get destroyed and get to the next bit. So it wants me to score 100,000. Well, I probably did that quite comfortably last time while I was messing around, so if you just keep farming things, you're good. I mean, if you do happen to get the score before you get to this stage, you'll pretty much just end the mission immediately. And that's no big deal, that's okay. The third part of each mission does pretty much usually just seem to be a score attack, which is mostly the prelude to the next bit, which is then score mode, because your score mode will start basically at where the main thing ended. So that first crown will start me at 100,000, I think it was, wasn't it not? It will score 100,000, and then it will say, you need to score 150,000 now. If you do that, it ticks off a crown, you get one of the crowns in your progress track, and you move on to the next crown. You'll then start a level beginning at 150,000, it'll say get to 250,000, that'll tick off the next one, and so on and so forth. I'm going to die quite quickly here, because I've gotten a few waves into this, and it gets messy quite quickly, yeah. And this, unfortunately, I think is the weakness of the score mode, is that if you kind of get onto a good roll, if you start at the bottom and do really well, you'll be murdering lots of enemies, picking up lots of golden tokens, which will be like dropping power-ups all over the board. Because every time that track on the left, that little golden orb track, fills the top, it drops that power-up onto the board, and you get to use it. And then you pick up more orbs, and it will drop the next power-up onto the board, and so on and so forth. And you'll just manage to keep racking up power-ups and mowing down enemies, and you can rack up a lot of score that way. If you're starting from scratch, particularly on Wave 4 at this point, it's spawning Wave 4 enemies, which is a lot of tanks very fast at this stage. That's a nuke, that's not even a good weapon for me at that point in time. So yeah, you're just dropped straight in the middle of this massive fracas, and it's very, very difficult to get from, where are we at, 400,000 to the 600,000 mark, without just getting overwhelmed in moments because it's the sheer volume of tanks, and it's kind of ridiculous. You can sometimes get a decent run. You can see I managed to get to 572,000 once, but kind of silly. But, you know, there's a lot of replay value in that. There's very much an element of, just one more go going on in there. So we'll have a look at the bridge. Shows us some more of the laser mechanics. Level 2, we get to teleport allies out, so our objective is to, all these little yellow guys, they are friendlies, we need to save them. They're nice. There's some infantry that we can just mow down by flying into them. That's no problem. And, oh, there's some big guys, there's some tanks, or trucks that have nukes on them that they'll kill enemies as well if you go through them. If they go through the nuke, which is, you can use that tactically to your advantage. I'm probably going to want to use my overdrive just to, like, avoid being murdered there, I guess. I should really work on my objective, which is actually, you know, saving the friendlies. There we go. Save friendlies without allowing any of them to die, so there's kind of more of a conditional thing. You'll get a few of these in different forms. Basically your progress tracker is going to be reset every time an ally dies. There is still some random elements to the enemies. You can see some of the enemies were kind of pretty much just spawning on top of the allies there, which makes that kind of a messy business. No. It said don't allow them. Oh, it hasn't actually reset my tracker. It said don't allow them to die, but didn't seem to have too many qualms about letting them die. Oh, that's because I was on the first stage. Right. So we need to try and keep them alive. So yeah. Okay, it doesn't seem to reset my tracker entirely, but when they die, it does knock a chunk on my tracker, which makes it just a little bit trickier. And then stage 3 will be a score attack. There you go. So 300,000, score 300,000, end of stage. All of this, of course, still optional. If you can complete the first objective, which is the relatively easy objective, an objective that you still have 3 lives to attempt to complete as well. All of that, if you can do that, you unlock the next level anyway, you can move on. You don't need to score 300,000 to progress in the game. You don't need to do the more advanced objectives. There we go, 300,000. So that's 3 of those. Cool. So those would fill up that tracker. They're not going to this time, but they would, and I would get some trophy progress on that one. We can have a look at that score mode from the start. So we started at 300,000. You can see we get to look at the high scoreboard before going. This is, I will say that high scoreboard is one of the most infuriating parts of this for me. On levels like this, where you can have a lot of attempts at this level actually in a pretty short span of time. See, oh look, I've died, let's do the score attack again. It's only a few moments of a second where there's a transition before the level ends, and then there's a transition before the level starts, and you've got to have a look at the high scoreboard and have a look at your objectives every time, and it's just a few seconds. There we go, so we've got the first one, that was no big deal. So now we need to get to 400k, we've got some power-ups going on, which should make things nice and easy. We've got a laser, we get a bit of a roll on, this could go okay. But yeah, if you're dying a lot, you've got to go, okay, transition, downloading opponents, got to download your opponents every time, let's have a look at this, got to go through this each time, just to show it once or twice doesn't feel frustrating, but trust me when I say I've been at this, sat redoing my progress through some of these levels for the last hour and a half or so, and just trying to get some of the score attack stuff. I'm finding it's really trying my patience, just having to go through this every time. Every single time you die, especially as you saw with the tank level, they're very easy to just get. If you don't get off to a great start on that level and get moving really, really quickly and make great progress really fast, you will die early and quickly a lot in that level, and then you got to restart it. Okay, let's look at the high scores, let's watch the transition, download our opponents, have a look at the high scores again, have a look at our objective again, start the mission again, and oh look at that! I died immediately because the guy shot me in the face, so now we look at the high scores, we look at the transition, let's download our opponents, have another look at the high scores, have a look at our objective again. It's a quick, fast-paced game, and the mechanics of that really ought to reflect that. What you really want is it to be instantaneous. That's what you need here. You need to restart the level immediately. You want to, dare I say it, a Super Meat Boy kind of affair. It's like, oh, I'm dead, oh, I'm back up. I mean, there are countless games that have done that. You know, Super Meat Boy is simply the first one that springs to mind, but any kind of game where you're expected to do lots of short runs, and it's very easy to die, i.e., one-hit kill, you want to be able to restart it quickly. I mean, the concept's good. I dig these score attack levels. I dig them a lot. I mean, as I say, there's all very much an element of just one more go, just one more go, just one more go. I just look. I'm nearly at the look. I'm at 600,000. I'm at 590. I'm almost at the next crown. I can get it this time. I bet I can get it this time. No, I can't do it. Okay, well, just one more go. Give me one more go. Except that I'm being stopped from doing that every single time I get to this. Please, I just want to play your game. Just let me play it some more. Just one more go. One more go. It's compelling in that regard, but frustrating that it doesn't want to let you play it as much as you want to play it. These little bite-sized missions, each and every one of them with their own different sort of criteria. Some of them are score attacks. Some of them are asking you to save friendly. Some of them are asking you to do friendlies while doing different things. Those are kind of cool. I like that sort of thing. It keeps it varied. It keeps it different. It keeps it fresh. There's new stuff going on, and it's a lot of fun in that regard. But there's just a few design quirks that just make it ultimately kind of a frustrating experience. That is kind of a shame. Okay, we're up to 4 crowns. Could I possibly hit 1.05 million? Surely not. Nope, no we can't. Alright, we'll see what 4 crowns gets us. Ding! Ding! Ding. 3 of those gets us our next unlock. Let's crack that open. That's me, Spread Minigun Power-Up Level 2, so there's a new power-up that I have not been able to get before. The power-ups are still going to be assigned at random and dropped randomly somewhere on the field every time you collect one, but now there is a more powerful minigun that will be in the mix, and that's kind of cool. So I can then go back and attempt any levels that maybe I was struggling with and have extra things in my arsenal now, which is kind of neat. I feel like it would be an interesting idea to be able to sort of turn some of these on or off, but I don't know quite how that would affect balance per se. It seems kind of strange that you've got like a level 1 and a level 2 and a level 3 laser and a level 1 and a level 2 minigun or spread minigun in this instance, that you're still just kind of getting at random. You still just get, it's like, are you going to get a level 1 or a level 2 power-up? Who knows? It's random. That's a little strange, gonna be honest, but hey, that's the way it works. I suppose, on average, you are going to, by having the access to the level 2, on average, you will get a level 1.5 minigun now, so the power has crept upwards on average, so I suppose it makes me more powerful in that regard. That's one way to look at it, and then we start filling out the next track. Even if I maxed it out with 6 out of 6, it wouldn't got me anymore, so I'm fine with that. I mean, the high scoreboards themselves are kind of interesting. They don't seem to be entirely accurate, because usually you've seen plenty of times now. Let's have a look at what it is. You'll see plenty of times now that, there's a great example, reach rank 223. Well, it just said I was rank, what, 198? I'm already higher ranked than that. That's a little strange. I mean, most of the ranks just seem to be fictional characters, actually. They're just like, they seem to be named after video game characters. I don't know if that's sort of... I don't know if that's just been done just for the sake of having placeholders until the game was in the hands of the public, but there you got, like, I guess Comrade Gremlin is probably an actual player, whereas Parappa the Rapper, no. Big Boss, no. Max Payne, no. Those are not actual players. But they are placeholders, and they're good. That's a cute idea to fill out the scoreboard with actual achievable targets that are just fictional characters to begin with, which is kind of cool. Where that stands on the trademark and copyright laws, I'm not sure, but it's probably not a big deal, maybe? Who knows? At any rate, yeah, you can see, so I'm rank 198. He wants me to get to rank 210 by getting to a score. You can see I think a fictional top score at number 1 there, and then 190 Max Payne is the score I need to beat to start the next stage. It's a weird kind of way of doing it, and the numbers just don't seem to add up, but it's kind of cute that it's like, oh, you need to reach this point on the leaderboard in order to progress to the next one. It's all tied to the score, it's not tied to your location on the leaderboard at all. But it's always nice to kind of give you something to strive for. Man, I am bad at this level. They do attack you from all 4 sides on that level. I'm not a fan of that level, but there you go. I think that's kind of shown off a lot of what Rocking Pilot has to offer. It's a fun little title. It is available as of yesterday on Steam, available for Windows and Mac for £4.79 regional discount. Wow, let's try some words today. £4.79 or your regional equivalent, and it has a 15% launch discount, is I think what I was trying to say, which brings it down to £4.07. So, yeah, you know, if you're going to dig into all of these score attacks and, you know, unlock some of these challenge levels, I mean, ooh, the ambush level, then there's a hard version of it, which gives you even more rewards. Great, okay, yeah, there's replayability going on in there, which is going to unlock more cooler stuff later on down the line. So, if you want to dig into the replay, I think you'll get decent value for money out of that. Honestly, I think if all you're going to do is tick the first box on every level, get that key, move to the next level, you actually might not find all that much content in the game. I think you would find yourself burning through it very quickly. As I say, you've got one tutorial, 3 levels, and you've seen how big the levels are. Getting to that first objective is not a challenge, really, to any great degree. And then a boss, which, again, ticking the first box and actually killing the boss, not massively challenging. Some of the later boss objectives can be tougher, as you can see, I've not done them. But, you know, actually beating the boss is not insane in and of itself. So getting to the next worlds and making a progress through the game, reasonably easy. You probably would finish the game fairly quickly if all you focused on was the story, I'll be honest. I don't think any of it would present a massive, insurmountable hurdle. The real meat of the game is going to be trying to tick off all those crowns, gonna get through that score attack, go back, get all those trophies, get all those skulls, do all the hard mode missions. If you're digging this kind of gameplay, there's some stuff to sink your teeth into, and I think it's kind of cool. Well, there you go, Rocking Pilots, as I say, out on Steam as of now. There'll be a link for that in the description. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been Meroka. I will see you next time.